Good evening, darlings and deviants. My name is Lucy and I'm just a little loony. I'm tired of waiting for that Omen Path to Thunder Junction to open up. I want to talk about the cards now. Unfortunately, Fibblethip is a bit too busy plotting to tell me what plot does. There's only so much I can talk about two non-legendaries, and Oko is a hack. How dare he call himself a ringleader? Has he cleaned out a brushwag pin for a petting zoo? Has he had to organize an indeterminate number of performers in order to maximize audience enjoyitude and funtertainment? Does he even know what those words mean? I don't think so. He's just so... Anyway, blood pressure rising epithets aside, there is still one legendary I can talk about, and that's... Everyone knows I'm recording right now. Who's that? Hello.
Greetings, Ring Mistress. It is I, Abaddon, aka Don, your favorite demonic strongman here in order to inform you of crucial new information.
Oh, hey Donnie. Thanks, I guess, but can it wait? I'm kind of in the middle of something right now.
No, it is vital this knowledge gets to you as soon as possible.
What could be so important that you need to... You got jealous that Gabby got into a video before you, huh?
What? How dare you accuse me of that completely factual statement?
Well, pretty easily, in fact. How about you help me finish this video up and then you can tell me about whatever's so important?
That sounds like an excellent idea. What is this particular piece of performance about?
We're talking about Tinybones.
An excellent choice. What is it you say before beginning these shows?
Oh, well, I normally say, without further ado, let's start the show. So, who is Tinybones and what does he do? Well, Tinybones is... Well, hold up, he's already got a wanted poster? Dang, I didn't know pickpocketing was that big of a deal. Well, he's 1 black mana for a legendary 1/1 skeleton rogue who has Death Touch and, given his normal art, a clear lack of regard for musical instruments. Now, that alone wouldn't be a super good commander. A 1/1 with Death Touch ain't gonna cut it nowadays. Luckily, he has another cool ability. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, you may cast target non-land permanent card from that player's graveyard, and mana of any type can be spent to cast that spell. Which is lucky, because if he's our commander, we'd really only have access to black. Yoinking stuff from our opponent's graveyard sounds awesome, but if Tinybones is going to be the star, we're going to need to help him out. We're going to get right into that, but first, Donnie.
You should subscribe. It helps keep the show going and putting smiles on your faces. Otherwise it shall be your bones that will be tiny.
Not exactly what I was going for, but he's right. Hitting the like and subscribe buttons helps us out a ton, so do that please. Tinybones might be tiny, but he is still pretty visible, which makes it hard to pick pockets. So let's make it harder for our opponents to see him. I hope this doesn't make me an accessory to crime again. Oh well. First up is Shizo Death's Storehouse and Access Tunnel. These are both lands that make it a bit easier for Tinybones to get through to our opponent's precious life totals. Access Tunnel is a bit more of a sure thing, making Tinybones straight up unblockable, but Shizo is much cheaper to activate and there's no reason you can't play both, so you should do that. Redundancy is good. Speaking of redundancy, how about some more permanent ways of giving our Skelly Boy easy ways in? Well, along with some of the usual suspects like Key to the City and Whisper Silk Cloak, I dug around and found Rhyme Transformation. This is 1 and a black for a snow enchantment aura that gives +2/+1 normally, and lets you pay a snow mana in order to make the enchanted creature unblockable except by snow creatures. And unless you're playing against one of the 2 snow commanders out of the well over 2,000 other options for who to helm their deck, I think that's basically unblockable really. Finally, I wanted to mention an entire mechanic. The Universes Beyond are gifts that keep on giving. In the Universes Beyond Lord of the Rings set, a new mechanic was introduced called The Ring Tempts You. It's a little weird and there's a lot of words that explain it, but the gist is that, with a single temptation, we can give Tinybones the ability to only be blocked by creatures with the same or less power. From then on, any extra temptations are just gravy on the cake. Hold on, I don't think that's how that goes. Gravy on a cake sounds gross. Okay, so our funny little skeleton guy is unblockable, now we just need cards in our opponent's graveyards. If we were in blue, this would be pretty easy, but unfortunately, Tinybones is not blue. Dabba-dee-dabba-die. However, we do still have some solid tools for filling up those graveyards. Altar of the Brood is a 1-mana artifact that makes every opponent mill a card whenever a permanent comes into play under your control. This is one of those go-to mill cards, but it alone isn't typically enough to mill people out. Luckily, we don't really need to. We just need to dump enough stuff in there so that Tinybones can yoink it. Oh, by the way, if you're playing Altar of the Brood, play scheming symmetry as well. Not only is it a super cheap tutor effect, but if you use it before playing a permanent, you can easily turn this into a tutor for you and an entomb for someone else. I think we're getting the better deal out of that, honestly. To put even more cards in our opponent's graveyards, we have Dread Summons and Breach the Multiverse. Both of these are big splashy spells that not only mill our opponents, but also generate more threats in order to distract our opponents, while Tinybones digs in their pockets for something shiny. Breach the Multiverse is better, but if we have a ton of mana to pour into it, Dread Summons can make us a bunch of zombies, give us a bunch of attackers or blockers, and to give Tinybones a lot of stuff to dig through. Finally, there's one of my favorite mill cards, Mind Crank. I talked about this before, but this is a 2-mana artifact that mills our opponents whenever they lose life. This way, our opponents can help mill our other opponents and we can swoop in and take advantage. Being a criminal has its perks after all. Next, we're going to need a lot of mana to cast these spells. Commander players love their big splashy cards after all, and we need to develop our own board. So let's make a ton of mana so we can do all the things. First up is the classic combo of Cabal Coffers and Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth. In case you don't know how this combo works, these two lands work really well together. Urborg makes every single land a swamp, yes, even the ones for our opponents, and Cabal Coffers lets you tap 2 mana and the coffers to make mana equal to your swamps, which, if you play your cards right, should be all of them. Next up we have Cryptghast and Nurkana Revenant. These both have the same effect to double the mana from our swamps, which works with Urborg too, funnily enough. While the Revenant is bigger, Cryptghast gives an extra use for our smaller spells because it lets us extort our opponents. Extort is an older mechanic that lets you pay a black or a white mana in order to make your opponents all lose 1 life and have you gain that much life. Don't worry about the reminder text too much, we can play this card in a mono black deck, just trust me on this. And extort doesn't target anything. I guess this means extortion isn't a crime? Interesting. Oh, one last thing. Normally I don't tell people to not play cards in these videos, but I can see the gears turning in your brain. Please do not play Black Market. I mean, you can, I won't stop you. I ain't your mom or anything, but it's not as good as you think it is here. You see, Tinybones needs to attack and deal damage to activate his ability, and Black Market's mana is only put into your mana pool before the combat phase, so you won't be able to use it. Crime doesn't pay after all. Well, okay, it kind of does here, but not this crime. Alright, that's all of the meat of the video out of the way. I just gotta get the outro done and it'll be good to go. Thanks for all the help, Donnie.
It is no problem. I am always eager to help and educate the masses.
Well, since I'm almost done, basically, what did you want to tell me before?
Thank you for reminding me. If I recall properly, Giggles told me she had properly predicted when the next Omen path would open up.
Oh, well that's great. When's it happening?
I don't quite recall. She told me a little bit ago and I don't really remember.
Guess I'll need to look out for it then. See you in a bit, Don. I'm gonna go work on the outro. Ah!
I may have misjudged the timing. Giggles, we have a situation here.
Well, looky here. Ain't this a mite convenient? Where am I? Calm down, darling. This is on the business. Hi?